Good morning. Thanks, Crystal. It's good to see you all this morning. Um, there was a recent inquiry from OMOS that I think the teams received about the use of advanced directives, and so this I thought was pretty timely, at least for the best center teams included in the IL or in the team leader and the IRT training videos. There's a little section on advanced directives, but I think it's helpful for all of us to kind of chat about what are psychiatric advanced directives, how do they work, and what's their utility. So we'll just be talking about that for a few minutes to start us off today. So by the end of today, I'm hoping that, you all understand and be able to share with, individuals with whom you work the purpose and the utility of advanced directives, and also know where to find it. So you can have the legal document available at your fingertips. So there will be a link that is available in the presentation. So an advanced directive, just generally speaking, is a statement of preferences, an individual's preferences for medical care, which includes mental health care, if that person becomes unable to communicate their wishes or unable to make sound decisions at any point, in the future. And so it is sort of a proactive or future directed. There are two kinds of legal documents that can state an advance directive or, a future wish for healthcare. There's the durable power of attorney for healthcare. That's for medical and or mental health treatment. And you can revoke, modify, change, cancel it at any time. And then there's the declaration for mental health treatment, which is mental health specific, and it can't be changed, canceled, or a new one created when it is active. So until the individual is again deemed competent or of sound mind to make decisions for themselves. So a psychiatric advance directive, what is it? So you might hear it, this is, we want to focus on this one today since it is mental health specific and it does trump, even if you have the durable power of attorney for healthcare and a psychiatric advance directive, the one for mental health will override the durable power of attorney for healthcare if you have both. So I think that that's very important for individuals to know. But you can kind of think about it as a living will for mental health care. It's also known as an advance directive for mental health, the State of Ohio Declaration for Mental Health Treatment, and that is the one that you will have a link to in here. That is the one that, if it is notarized and submitted, that is a legally binding document. So having a psychiatric advance directive is a proactive approach to identify someone's wishes or preferences or needs in advance, should something happen to that individual and they're unable to communicate, sound decisions or their needs. And it also helps an individual to identify a trusted advocate, somebody to be able to speak on their behalf and share their wishes. And again, it's proactive, so it's done in advance. It is legally binding when it's signed and notarized, when it complies with all legal requirements, and providers have not been notified of its revocation. So if a hospital system has an advance directive, it's still, within the dates, the expiration date, it hasn't expired. Even if that has been revoked, if the individual has not shared that, that has been canceled or revoked at this time, the hospital system or organization will continue to try to follow that advance directive until the point where they're notified about the revocation. So a psychiatric advance directive really is an excellent opportunity for an individual to feel empowered, that they can identify someone in their circle that they trust. So we call them a proxy, to make the mental health care decisions on their behalf. When a physician or psychiatrist and one additional mental health professional have determined that the individual is unable to make informed decisions for themselves at this time. So it is intended to be short term. It's not something that lasts a lifetime typically. It's during the period while an individual is not able to make sound decisions. It's also really empowering for the family system, not just the proxy, but for all those around the individuals, because we know there's a plan in place. We know what the individual's wishes are, where their preference is for what hospital system, what medication, what their needs are for who to notify their employer, who should be in charge of childcare. And so it can really decrease anxieties all around when these are completed in advance. So obviously it should be completed when an individual is well. The goal is for the proxy to act in the interest of the individual. And so where it can get tricky sometimes is if the proxy is struggling to agree with the individual's wishes and they feel like they may not be able to follow through with certain wishes of the individual. You may want to work with the participant in first episode to find a new proxy, because that proxy is going to be the one sort of driving and advocating for that person's wishes. So when it's in effect, the proxy does have access to medical information and treatment options. So it's not as though they have carte blanche access to all historical data and medical information, but when it is in effect, the proxy does have access to medical information so that they are able to make decisions on behalf of that person. And then, like I mentioned, the Declaration for Mental Health Treatment is the controlling document. It will trump a durable power of attorney for healthcare, should both be in place at the same time. So when you're thinking about bringing this up with an individual, or if an individual brings this to you or a member of the treatment team, that they've heard about this and they want to know more about it, it's really important, for us as providers and team members to kind of find our moments to identify opportunities to discuss psychiatric advance directives during session. So really, when a person is doing well and before they need it. So if a person has had a crisis situation or a hospitalization or something before, wouldn't it have been great to know what your wishes were, your treatment preferences, your preferred location or hospital system, to know who should be picking up the children, who should let your employer know that you might be out for a few days? Wouldn't that be a great thing to have in place? Where you, as the individual, the receiving treatment, you're in charge. You are still driving the bus. And so finding those moments where there are opportunities to bring this up with the individual in treatment. There's something that probably most of you have heard about, a wellness recovery action plan, or a RAP plan. Sometimes this is a lower bar, lower threshold, and a really nice, gentle way to lead into either the discussion or the completion of the psychiatric advance directive, or the Ohio Mental Health Declaration. There's a lot of legalese in the formal legal document. But what the aspects that it gets at, childcare, transportation, all of these things, wishes, needs, concerns, and more, are covered in a RAP plan. And so it's just a little bit more accessible, and it's in more layperson's terms. And then that information can be transferred over to the, Ohio Declaration for Mental Health Care, that legally binding document. It can be very, very helpful to involve the identified proxy, the advocate or trusted individual, and others that are part of this individual's family system in the development of this, or at least once it's been developed, so that everybody's on the same page about understanding an individual's wishes. So I put a link there so that you can access the RAP plan. And a lot of the information you probably have at some point talked with the individual about. It's just some way to keep it all centralized and in one location to make it more easily accessible. So things to think about or consider when you're having the discussion about engaging in a psychiatric advance directive. There are going to be hesitations and concerns, about confidentiality, about losing an individual's, ability to make decisions for self. And so normalizing those hesitations and concerns, and then sharing, the information that we've been discussing today, that there is some access to some medical records. It isn't intended to be a lifelong document, things like that. Talking with them about the potential benefits, discussing the appropriate proxy. So an individual that really you do trust, an individual who will agree and be agreeable to follow through with the person's wishes and not the proxy's wishes. What qualities do they want in a trusted individual that would be in this kind of a position? Do they fully understand the role of that proxy? Does the proxy fully understand that role? thinking through who is on their short list of who that proxy might be. And the others that maybe aren't identified as the proxy, what are other ways that we can engage them in supporting this advance directive to help follow through, to help or to assist the proxy in helping to follow through with their wishes. Making sure the proxy is fully informed and agreeable to what that role is, the goals, the limitations of what a psychiatric advance directive can do. And we're all familiar, I think most of us are familiar with that Ottawa Personal Decision Guide. I think that this is an excellent tool to help an individual and then their proxy and family system think through if this is right for them. So what are the potential benefits of having an advance directive and of not having advance directive? And so looking at it from all directions. So the advantages of filling out an advance directive, the disadvantages of having an advance directive, the advantages of not having an advance directive, and the disadvantages of not having this in place. And it'll really help them if the timing is right, to help them figure out if the timing is right for them to have a psychiatric advance directive that has been provided to various organizations where they receive treatment. So this is the link to where you find it. And this is the one that Ohio Moss had sent around. This is the Ohio Declaration for Mental Health Treatment. And so you will be able to grab that from there. And so when I think about a psychiatric advance directive, I think there are a few keys for success to make sure that the process of developing and then the follow through of the advance directive all works. It really does have to be driven by the individual, by the person in first episode treatment. We have to make sure that the person is fully informed about the implications of creating an advance directive and what it can and can't do. Ensuring that the appropriate proxy is identified, and team members can be extremely helpful in this, is helping them think through who this person might be. The proxy again is agreeable and understands. There are signed and notarized copies, and those are kept by key persons. So the proxy, potentially other family members, and also on file with your mental health organization, the hospital system of choice, or other local hospital systems, so that, without having the advance directive in their possession, into organizations aren't able to follow it. And so it's only as good as, the providers who have that. It's also important that the family system and the treatment team are all aware of the advance directive. And one thing to think about that, more than just the proxy, but making sure everybody that's in this individual's, network knows that there is an advance directive in place, because should someone be hospitalized, the hospital may call, next of kin, and that may not be the proxy. If the next of kin is aware, oh, there should be a psychiatric advance directive on file at your hospital system. If not, I know, their mental health agency has a copy. But this will allow the individual to get the their treatment of choice or their location of choice as quickly as possible. And so the more people who are aware that there is an advance directive and they know the aspects or the pieces of the advance directive, the more likely it is to be able to be followed by the providers. And the provider and team, they continue to check in with the individual and the proxy, over time. One, to make sure that it has not expired and that there are no changes that need to be made. And so, there are limitations, of course, with an advance directive, but it's up to the organization and the providers to try their best to follow the recommendations within, what's best practice, what's most appropriate treatment. So there are some additional resources that I have added here, where you can locate more detailed information that either, the team or that you might want to share with individuals and their family systems. And then here are some excellent resources. Not only do they have nice summaries, but it can share a bit more detailed information about what is a psychiatric advance directive.